High-level meeting in Kyiv today between Ukraine's foreign minister and the U.S. special envoy to Ukraine and Russia, taking place against the backdrop of increasingly bitter verbal attacks against Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy by U.S. President Donald Trump, including Trump calling him a dictator. Joining me now is CTV News political commentator and former NDP leader Tom Mulcair. Tom, thanks for your time this morning. Trump versus Zelenskyy, escalating war of words between the two. Your thoughts on that fractured relationship and possibly what role Canada could play to step in?
I think that's a really good choice of word, that fractured relationship. I was doing television on Tuesday, watching Trump's press conference when he just let fly with the bizarre, disconnected affirmation that it was actually Ukraine that had started the war against Russia. I mean, even Fox News was aware that it was Russia that had illegally invaded Ukraine. So what world is Mr. Trump living in? Is this part of a strategy to get to some sort of a deal? And he thinks that by repeating the lines that are used by Russia, the attacks by Russia, for example, against Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine, include the fact that he's very unpopular, that he's at 4% in the polls. There's no such poll. It's complete fabulation, but Trump repeats it as fact. So is he trying to curry favor with the Russians? Better to get a deal? That will obviously be part of his argument, if indeed he's able to get one. I have a feeling that the Russians are probably laughing right now at the fact that Trump was stupid enough to go along with their explanations to this. And they're probably going to sit down at the table knowing that Trump has to get a deal, and that if he doesn't, he'll have egg on his face. So they're just going to be impossible to deal with and ask for things like Crimea and all of the Russian-speaking parts of Ukraine, which was an autonomous, independent country until the completely illegal invasion by Russia against them. So Canada can continue to play a positive role as a member of NATO, but Scott, I have to say, I'm very worried about the future of NATO, given what Trump is up to here. Whether it's France or Germany or Great Britain, the NATO members are watching in Europe with horror with what Trump is doing to mollycoddle the Russians, and it's a really disturbing time.
Also, we do know that Canada has a bit of a fractured relationship right now with our neighbors to the south. I want to ask you about a new poll that shows somewhere between around 27% of Canadians view the United States as, quote, an enemy country. What do you make of this poll? Of course, there's a heightened tension, but that's some strong language.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly how to deal with how that question comes out. Leger did a good job. Their polling is always excellent. But I have a feeling that that's a reflection of the fact that Canadians view the Americans as behaving like an enemy towards us, not necessarily that we consider them to be the enemy. So it's a bit of a tricky way to look at it. And I find it disturbing. And it's a reflection of the madness of King Trump, who's been out there knocking stuff over, going after Canada, saying that he's going to make us the 51st state. It's all very difficult to deal with, and I understand the reaction. But we see it, for example, when Canada-U.S. played on over the weekend, booing the U.S. national anthem. We shouldn't be booing the U.S. national anthem. We should be booing Trump. We shouldn't be booing Americans. We're too close. We're too similar. We have very similar cultures and histories and backgrounds. We've got our differences, but overall, we've got an incredible history of working together. We've been allies. We've been friends. We've worked so hard on the world stage for democracy and worked together. So we shouldn't let the temporary passage of a figure like Trump upset hundreds of years of getting along. And I think that that's the real danger here.
CTV News political commentator and former NDP leader Tom Mulcair. Tom, always appreciate your time. Thanks so much this morning.
Good to be with you, Scott. All the best.